The Media Mogul Machine, where you can turn your content into a real business. This is the episode where everything comes together. For the past few weeks, I've been presenting a series about what it is to be not just a content creator, on the treadmill of produce, post, pray, and then do it all over again, but instead to think and operate like a media mogul. You've seen why growing an audience isn't enough, why ads don't create real stability, and why you don't actually control your audience. So the question becomes, well, what does actually work? And in this episode, I'm going to show you the system that turns content into a real business. Well, hi there again. I'm Gordon Firemark, the podcast lawyer. I'm an entertainment, media, and business attorney, and for nearly 35 years, I've represented and coached creators and entrepreneurs and media professionals, filmmakers, actors, writers, directors, producers, and all kinds of podcasters and folks in the content creation, the creator economy. I help them build smarter, safer, more profitable businesses. And over these last few episodes, we've been breaking down some of the big misconceptions in the creator world. That growing an audience by itself isn't enough, that sponsorships don't create real stability, and that if you don't control the relationship with your audience, you don't really control your business. So today, we're going to bring all of that together. And I'm going to show you how the system that modern media moguls use to turn content into a real business actually works. So here's what happens to most creators. You start putting content out into the world. Maybe you see a little traction and your audience starts to grow and you get a few more downloads and more views and more engagement, and it really feels like you're on the right track. So you do what everyone else tells you to do. You create more, you post more, and you try to stay consistent. And before long, you're on that hamster wheel, that content treadmill, always producing, always publishing, always trying to keep up. And even as you're working harder, you're not really getting ahead. Growth feels slow, unpredictable, and the money, well, it just doesn't reflect the time and the effort and the resources you are putting in. You're still waiting. You're still wondering, when is this actually going to turn into something real? Because there's no system behind it. No leverage, no structure, no clear path from content creation to running a real business yet. And that's the gap that we're here to close. So what's missing? Well, what's missing is a system, what I call the Media Mogul Machine. It's the system that turns content into assets, relationships you can control, and eventually develop into revenue. Not by creating more content. Not just by creating more content, but by using your content strategically. Because the content is not your product. It's really not. It's the engine that moves your business forward. And when that engine is connected to the right systems, that's when you're building a business. So what does the system actually look like? Well, at the high level, it's actually pretty simple. But simple doesn't mean easy. You see, most creators are missing one or more of the pieces. It all starts with the content, right? Your podcast, your videos, your social posts, whatever it is. As I said before, that's the engine. And then you use that content to attract people's attention. And you make offers within the content that brings those people into something that you control. So it's no longer just the likes and subscribes that you're after. You're trying to get them into your world where you're in control. That might be an email list or some kind of a community, some kind of a more direct connection between you and the audience. This is where lots of creators are getting stuck. They're just looking at, let's make more content, get more views, get me a little YouTube ad money or podcast ad money. But that's not it. It's just putting up a link doesn't get you anywhere, right? This is about building a path that people actually follow from your content into your world so that you can make them offers and monetize that relationship. You're building that relationship. You provide value, you build trust, and then you stay connected and you make those offers. And then that relationship is turning into money, revenue. through your offers, your services, your programs. So the flow really looks like this: from content to attention to capturing information about your folks to a relationship with them and then revenue. So you're going from someone who randomly discovers or even intentionally discovers your content to someone who not just follows you, but raises their hand and says, yeah, I want to hear more from you. That's what we call a prospect or maybe a lead. And they give you some information about them that you can then use to continue to be in touch with them, turning that lead relationship over time into something more than a lead and eventually into a customer or a client. And when all these pieces are connected, what you've built is a machine that will generate business for you. And when I say when this is set up the right way, I mean it. That's when everything starts to change. Your content stops feeling like a grind and starts working for you. What you're doing is guiding people through a process from discovery to connection to engagement to conversion. And that's what creates consistency and predictability in your business. So you're not relying on luck or algorithms or the odd chance of going viral. No, you've got a system, and that system creates leverage. Your content keeps working even after it's published, even after years after it's published. Your business grows without constant output. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens when everything is put together in the right, systematic, intentional, organized, strategic, tactical way. And that's where most people are getting stuck. This is where the real shift happens. It's about who you become. But when you stop thinking of yourself as a content creator and start thinking and operating like a business owner, like a modern media mogul, someone who builds something bigger, who accumulates assets and leverages them into business, into revenue, into a lasting legacy. All of this is stuff that compounds. So you're making more money. You're working more effectively, maybe even working less to make more money. You're helping more people because your system is doing more of the work. And you're not tied to showing up every day just to keep turning the crank that keeps things going. What you're doing is building something that runs day in and day out and that frees you up to work on your business instead of being stuck in it. See, that's the advantage. More leverage, more control, more predictability, and more freedom. If this is the direction you want to go, I want to invite you to join me for a live training I'm conducting, the Mogul Method Masterclass. Now, that name's going to change because not everybody wants to be a mogul. I get that. It's about thinking like one, even if it's not your intent to actually be the next Walt Disney or Mr. Beast or whatever. The masterclass will walk you through how to actually build the system step by step. Not just the model, but how to put it together so it actually starts working for you pretty much right away. So register now. Come on over to makeamogul.com because, at the end of the day, being a mogul isn't just about creating more content. In fact, it isn't about creating more content at all. It's about leveraging the content you do make to actually work for you efficiently, effectively, powerfully. So join me at makeamogul.com and we'll do the masterclass in a couple of weeks here. And in the meantime, I will see you again next week here on Legit Podcast Pro. And until then, hey, keep on creating, keep on doing great things, and heading on that trajectory toward massive, massive success. Here's to you and your success. See you soon.